Alright, in this section of notes, we're going to be looking at North Africa, Southwest Asia, and Central Asia. And what I'm going to refer to this is the Greater Middle East, but I want you to understand that it's North Africa, Southwest Asia, and Central Asia. First aspect I want to look at in regards to the Greater Middle East is the physical geography. And in the physical geography, the first subsection we're going to look at is seas and peninsulas. Now I've got the physical features map here. It looks a little bit different than what you've seen in the past because you can't really find a map that covers these three regions together as the Middle East. A lot of what you see in regards to just the Middle East is the Arabian Peninsula, but for us, we're including North Africa, Southwest Asia, and Central Asia. Now, in regards to the seas, there's some that I want to point out to you. Here in the middle of the map, one is the Red Sea. You can see that here in between the Arabian Peninsula and the African continent. The Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden to the east separate Southwest Asia's Arabian Peninsula from Africa. And you can see the Arabian Peninsula here where it's talking about Saudi Arabia. Then what I want to look at is the Persian Gulf. Point that out for you. The Persian Gulf is this area here in the east, in between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula. More oil goes in and out of the Persian Gulf than any other body of water in the world. And then we have, let me get my eraser out here, erase my drawing a little bit. We have what's known as the Sinai Peninsula. Now, you can't see this on this map. It's not labeled. But the Sinai Peninsula is this little bitty portion of land that connects Africa with the Arabian Peninsula, but more importantly, it connects the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. Now, there's a little bitty portion in here called the Suez Canal. You can actually read that there. This was a man-made canal that was built by the Egyptians so that you could get from the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. Very, very influential area as it connects these areas. And then, let me change colors. To the north, we have the Anatolian Peninsula. Now, the Anatolia points west to the Aegean Sea, but this is kind of your Central Asia unit that we're looking at. This is the area that connects Europe with the Middle East. And you can see, again, let me erase a little bit, you can see that there's actually a little bitty portion of land here that's connected. The Bosporus Strait. And these are some very, very influential seas and peninsulas. Now, the next thing that we're going to look at is rivers. Egypt's Nile River is the world's longest river at 4,160 miles, and I'm just going to circle it here instead of trying to trace it for you. It shaped the history of Egypt, as we'll see when we get to that unit, but very, very important, and it definitely changes their population density as well. Now, the next river, or rivers, that we're going to look at are the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. These, you could see, are in modern-day Iraq. They're in this area here. The Tigris and Euphrates River creates what's known as the Fertile Crescent. It's this crescent-shaped area that is very, very fertile. A lot of growing, a lot of farming it takes place in this area. Very influential in regards to the Greater Middle East. And then we move on to plateaus and mountains. Africa's longest mountain range is the Atlas Mountains, and you could see that here in the northwestern corner of Africa. This reaches all the way from Morocco, goes through Morocco, and goes through Algeria as well. That's that mountain range. And it's the westernmost part of this region is the Atlas Mountains. The Pontic Mountains and the Taurus Mountains rise in the Turkic landscape, and they don't even really show up in this map that I've got here, so I can't really point them out to you. And then you have the Caucasus Mountains, which we were talking about in the Russia unit, that separate Central Asia from Russia as well. And you see that. And you've also got the Zagros Mountains of Iran and some other little mountain ranges, but that's kind of your most important mountain ranges. In the Caucasus Mountains, they rise north of Mount Ararat between the Black and the Caspian Sea. You can see Mount Ararat kind of. I just put that dot there. Now, the natural resources of this area probably the most important aspect of this entire unit is oil and natural gas. 70% of the world's oil reserves and 33% of natural gas lie in the Middle East. Now, you also have some minerals in the area. For example, Turkmenistan has the world's largest deposits of sulfate, and Morocco ranks third in production of phosphate. But the main thing that marks this unit is its oil and natural gas production. And now moving on to the next area that we're going to talk about, and that's climate and vegetation. Again, there's not a whole lot of difference in this region, not a whole lot of variation. Water scarcity defines the region's climates, meaning not only groundwater scarcity, but also just rain scarcity defines the climates. And predominantly what you see, and as you can see by this map here, is desert. All that orange there, it's a desert climate. The Sahara, which you see really big right in the middle, is the world's largest desert. It's about 3.5 million square miles, and it's growing because of a process known as desertification. The desert is getting bigger. The Sahel, which is that region to the bottom, to the south, which is kind of your steppe climate, which we'll get to in just a second, is also growing. But before we get to the steppe climate, weather patterns in the Sahara are extreme. What I mean by that is daytime temperatures sometimes can be around 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and they can drop significantly at night and sometimes be freezing at night because there's no moisture in the air. So you have these huge extremes in climate or temperature. Now the steppe climate. That's the orangish color that you see south. It's the Sahel. That's where the Atlas mountain range is. And then in parts of central and eastern Asia that we see, you've got some steppe climate as well. That's the second largest climate region in this area. Precipitation averages about a little bit over 14 inches per year. And most of what you see in the steppe climate is pastoralism. Pastoralism is the raising and grazing of livestock. That's the way of life of the steppe people. Now, in the Anatolia region, you do have some variations, the cooler, humid climates, as well as some more temperate climates. But the number one climate, the region that you're going to see, is the desert. Number two, steppe.